Hey, what's next?
Okay, so let me explain as we do a dry fit. Okay. Remember, it's never my fault. It's always your fault if it doesn't go together. Okay. I always put the tenons, the dominoes, in the tight setting because you have the play down here in the loose setting.
Okay.
So those are my faces, right? I got that one in like that. I'm gonna put this in. It's that easy. Always dry fit. We have to dry fit this because we have to take a measurement to cut the center panel.
That's true.
Okay, so do you remember what the length of these are without reading it?
280.
280. Okay, so let's do this. What's 280? Okay, plus, what's the depth of the groove?
9.
Okay, times 2?
18.
Okay, so are we gonna cut this exactly, or are we gonna give the little center panel some wiggle room?
Well, I'm trying to remember.
It's gonna be plywood.
Okay.
1/4 inch plywood or 6 millimeter thick plywood. I would always undercut it by a couple of millimeters. So what is 280 plus 16?
296.
Okay, so that is our width. So let's write this down. 296 is width. And this is super duper important because when we cut that plywood for the center panel, we want, and I want to bring this up like this so it doesn't fall apart. We want the grain to go up and down,
That's
side
right.
to side, right?
Right.
It's basic woodworking, okay? Just like the cabinet. But this is important. So we need to take a measurement from here to here.
Okay.
And add 16. Hang on a second. This is really easy. What's the width of these?
50.
Okay, so what's the length of this?
280.
No.
These are 764.
Okay, 764 minus what?
100.
Cool, because that's okay. And add back what?
18. Wait.
16.
16.
Okay.
Oh, it's the 2 okay.
The 2 millimeter. Okay, so 764 minus 100 is what?
664.
Plus 16.
That is 680.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're gonna write here 6, 8, and we'll use the dog hole as a 0, and that's the height.
All right.
And that'll allow us to cut our panels absolutely just right. So let's cut the panels.
Let's do it.
Okay, so now I'll write these numbers over again. It was 296. You remember what I said? Wide. And remember, it's going to be this wide.
Right.
Okay, we need 2 cut at 296.
Okay.
And then we'll cut them to height at, I believe it was 680 to height. Okay,
Yep.
Okay, so this is a clean edge here. I'm going to have you measure 296 in length.
95 and 6.
Okay, and then come down here and make your mark.
295 and 6.
This is the beauty of this system because you've measured from here. Okay, the board you're keeping goes under the rail. So we're not going to cut this way, we're going to cut this way. And when I say the beauty of this system is when we take this, see this mark right here? We're going to split that, that's what I always do. Okay, and I'll put it right on that mark there, giving myself plenty of room. And I'll rip the first one, I'll have you rip the second one.
Sounds good.
Okay, because right now, because we've taken the splinter guard and we cut it with the saw a couple months ago, we know that wherever we put this splinter guard, it's going to cut splinter free. So I'll just set this up, and it's that easy. Okay, so I'll have you measure again.
2, 6.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yep.
296, what is that in imperial? See, that's the beauty of this tape.
So 296 gives me
Right here, 11.
11 and just about 3/4.
Yep. Perfect. So there you go, 11 and 3/4. That's the beauty of the tape.
All right, let's cut it.
Wow. That's about the best rip cut I've ever seen.
All right, so are we gonna set up the MFT for these, or how are we gonna cut them?
Well, what's the width on them?
280.
So what's that in imperial?
It's less than 300, which is 12 inches. Oh, taking it to the
Apex. Now you can set up a multifunction table to get a square cross cut. But why? We got the K-pex right here. If there's any tear out, which there won't be, it's going to be hidden in that groove.
True.
Okay? And this will take less than 30 seconds to cut both of them. So I'll do the first one, you do the second one.
All right.
And, oh, look at this. It's set at 680. Hey, Mo! So we'll bring it right over, bump it up, bring it right down, okay? And always remember to always lock it down because now it's a pinched cut against the stop.
Gotcha.
Okay? Now bring it all the way out. Right down. Make the cut, let it come down. Your turn. Wow. That's about the best cut I've ever seen. So what we're gonna do, and you always do this before you hit the glue, you always dry fit. The other thing you gotta look at is something like this. This is the veneer side, so you can see how bad the back side is. I mean, this stuff is so paper thin, you won't see that in the groove, right? And these are just samples, but if we were going into finishing, these are samples for us to use through the course of teaching people. I have measurements on it. I would pre-sand this and sometimes pre-finish it before going into a glue up. Okay, but let's test it. So I always do this, and when we go through, you'll hear me repeat a bunch of things. I see people struggling with dry fits, and I always tell people, let gravity work for you. Okay, so some people may go like this. Why? Just take your rails, put them in one of the styles, and because gravity is our friend, we just slip it into the groove like this.
Science.
Okay, and you'll see, look at that. See how it goes in. This will be nice. These are all our faces, okay? And I'll tell you what's really important is when we go into glue up, you gotta make sure all the faces are right. See how this comes together, okay? And this is be a really nice, once we get it in, we'll get it all lined up and everything.
Wow.
But there you go, and we'll go into glue up. We'll check the other door right now.
Okay.
And the other panel, and then we'll go to glue.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going into glue up, and one of the things I like to advise anybody or coach people is make sure you have all your clamps ready to go. Have them open to a rough opening. That way there, when you go into glue up, man, it just makes it effortless. Okay, get a little bit of water together with a rag so you can wipe up some of the residual glue. We'll have a dead blow hammer ready. So what I'm kind of telling you is have all your stuff prepared, because once you have time on this, because this is Type Bond 3. I don't use it because it's outdoors. It's supposed to be waterproof. I use it because it has a longer open time.
Ah, okay.
When you talk about glues, there's open time. That means before it starts to set. Then you have set time. And then you have cure time. Well, people say, well, I could take it out of the clamps in an hour or 45 minutes. But it's not cured.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll get into our gluing scenario and we'll start putting these together, but have everything there ready to rock and roll. Okay?
Sounds good.
And you did a great job already.
All right, so we got a lot of pieces. Where do we start with our glue up?
It's pretty simple. Right here with a piece of scrap plywood. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue out there. All right?
Just a little bit.
Just a little. Now, this is end grain. Okay, if I put glue on here, it's gonna go right up in here.
Okay.
Okay, you'll see that when we do cope and stick doors, I never put glue on my end grain. You could put a little here, it's long grain. You have end grain to long grain, but it's just, that's why you do wood joinery. Okay, so I always get a kick out of when somebody says, oh, it's a little bit messy. Yeah, glue ups are messy. Okay, I take this, and I've never had a failure with this because the domino itself has little glue wells in it. Okay, so if I go like this, I call it buttering the domino, and then I place it. I always do it in the rails, and I'm going to have you do some. As I push it in, it wicks to the adjacent surface. Okay, always remember where our faces are.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna flip this around, D, so you can see it, so we can see it for the camera, and I'm gonna have you put that in there.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna do this one as well as we're doing this. Remember how we read our glue date, so we're good with that. Okay, I know this one's gonna go in here like this because that's facing there, so I'm gonna push that in like this. Okay, and what I'm gonna have you do, okay, see how I'm buttering that to make sure I have adhesion? I'll have you push that in there like that. Okay, and I'm gonna butter this one like this, bro. Okay, just like this, good.
Butter it up.
Okay, like this, and I'm gonna go like this. You do that one. Come on, get your hands dirty, bro.
Let's get dirty.
All right, and just make sure you have that and wish the Jason service. Now, someone may contradict me and say, hey, you're supposed to put glue in that mortise or whatever. I've never had a failure doing it like this, okay? On some of the other ones, oh, you know what we're gonna do now? Go ahead and grab your panel, okay? Oh, let's do this too. Watch, let me get this rag for us so you can clean up a little.
All right.
Okay, make sure that rag is wrung out completely.
All right.
Okay, you don't want to have here, wipe your hands up, take care of that for you. Remember, that's our face, right?
Yep.
Is that our face?
The veneer
Okay,
side.
so it's going this way. All right, and yes, because of gravity, some of that glue is coming off the tenon, so I'll just take that like this, and yeah, you'll get some on the end grain, it doesn't matter.
Butter it up.
Okay, but you'll have less weeping into your panel like that. And then what we're gonna do is we'll just take this and slide it on like this. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, now, what we wanna do is we wanna create, I always call this creating our nest. Okay, so let's just take this out of the way. We'll sit it right here. I'll take that. I'm gonna have you grab 2 of those Bessie clamps.
Okay.
K-bodies. Okay?
Oh, geez.
Now, what I wanna do is you'll always have final tweaking on stuff. I wanna get that front edge just perfectly in line and this perfectly in line. Okay, now, see that? See how that lines up?
Yep.
This is the beauty. You don't want to put a clamp here, because that'll bend. You put it across the proper pressure point, which is right here. Now, take your other Bessie and slide it under there, just like this. Always have the screws facing this way.
Okay.
Okay? Or all in the same direction. You'll love this when I show you why in a minute. Okay, so we're gonna bring it in like this. I'll align this one first, okay?
Okay.
Remember where my clamping pressure, right against here.
Nice.
And as I take it, remember to use a Bessie, I wanna open this all the way up. I get it where I want it like this, and I do this, watch. I push down and then put the adhesion in. You're gonna see how this just comes together perfect. Now I always get a kick out of it because I used to freak out because I would see a line here. I'm not seeing a line. What I'm seeing is a slight offset. We'll sand that flush. It'll be perfect.
Okay.
So I'll grab that rag. Always have it handy. Now this one, we gotta bring it in line. And I'll give you another tip. I should have been a little more prepared. Don't take your hammer and go like this, because you'll mar this.
Okay.
Take a piece of wood like this and bring it in line like that. See that?
Beautiful.
And this one, of course, you can hit on the outside. Okay, feel that? Feel that with the feeler gauge? How's that feel? Good?
Pretty good.
Okay,
All right.
I'll have you tighten that up.
All right.
Bring it right in like this.
All the way down.
Okay, all the way down. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect, D. Look at that.
All right.
It's coming right together. So, this over the years I've seen, oh, you shouldn't wipe the joint, okay, to get the glue off. You should let it dry and then scrape it off because you'll weaken the joint. That's if you use a rag that's really wet,
Right.
and the water will creep down in that joint.
Makes sense.
Okay, I just do this. I'm still gonna have to sand and scrape,
Right.
but I just wipe it off like this. And then what else I do, and this is why we put the screws or the handles in the same plane. Say you get 10 of these cabinets, how many doors is that?
20.
Right, where are you gonna put all of these? Look, you can take it like this,
Stack it up, baby.
stack them up. So the other thing we're gonna do right here, and Chris, you wanna come around and get this, we're just gonna go wipe and wipe, wipe and wipe. We're just doing 2 doors, but we're gonna leave these overnight till tomorrow. Okay, and there you go. That's how easy a glue up is. So let's get the other door going.
All right, let's go. All right, so we got our doors all clamped up, everything's dried, but I noticed these notches here.
Okay.
We got 4 on each door. What are we gonna do with those?
Okay, when I first designed this door, I I wanted to design it where I could do batches of this 50mm stock with grooves. So anytime I needed to shake a flat panel door, I could just go grab that stock, cut it, do my measurements, cut it, and it'd be wicked quick to do. Okay? So what we're left with is this notch. Now, could we have done with a plunge router and a parallel guide, plunge prior to this, or use a router table and do what is known as a drop on there? And I'll show you a setup on how to do that in case we don't want to do an infill. But what we're going to do is, because this is really easy door to make, is we're going to, and I'll show you the setup in a minute, we're going to do an infill right here. It'll look decorative. We'll use a contrasting domino for contrasting wood. This is the simple mahogany, and I'll show you the setup. But first thing, let's get these out of the clamps.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, Big D, I need you to scribe a 12mm line.
All right, let's do it.
Right here so we can see it.
Okay.
And I can describe exactly what we're gonna do. Right there, beautiful. All right, perfect. Okay, so that's 12mm. So let's do this. We have in here, dropping the dominoes. We have a 6x40 domino in this joint right here, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's get our 6x40 domino, just like this. Okay. So now, could we plunge in here and hit this? Yeah, but we still got the glue line. I want to keep the integrity of the glue line strength in there.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to set our plunge depth on our domino to 12mm. So our simple mahogany domino is going to only go in 12, right? Just like that. Okay, now when we do this, it's really simple. This is 20mm thick maple. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the 20mm here. That'll put us 10 in the middle of it. All right, and we're going to do this. We're going to set our plunge depth at 12. So I'll do a couple, you do a couple. We're going to do them all tight.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is once the glue dries on these, we'll glue them in.
Okay.
And then we'll trim them with the track saw. It's super duper easy. Okay,
good.
and it's a great look.
All right.
And the other thing I forgot to tell you is we're going to install an 8mm bit on here, which I already have previously. We're going to use the tight setting. And our lineup, okay, is you'll see right here the cursor and also the top of the triangle. We line it right up on what? The joint line, like this. See it?
Sweet.
Okay, awesome. It helps when there's electricity. I'll do a door, you do a door.
All right.
So you'll see right here, that notch will be covered up with a domino. Okay, and we'll cut it. And it'll see contrasting wood. It's just a nice, easy way. But remember, when you do this, what are we referencing? The face. The domino's on the face.
Right off the table.
Off the table, right.
All right, so what we got next?
Okay, so I just laid out some glue.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna set this here so you can see it. You don't have to butter the entire domino, just enough. And we're gonna just tuck it in here like this, just like that. Could you do me a favor and reach in that bucket and wring out that rag? It's right over here, I think, Big D, yep. And we'll just get enough in there, okay? And you can see, if we can look down in here, Chris, you can see where we didn't touch that 6x40 domino in there. Still intact. You're just seeing the edge of it. We'll just get this in here like this. Tuck that in.
Need your hammer? Oh, watch out.
I'm just gonna tap it in, do a quick, like that. This, that'll set up probably in 15 minutes, and then we'll trim them. Okay, fully pure. I'll just do this one. See these? These were cut with that little carrier because I needed that extra. You don't have to have a lot of tenon in there. No. In fact, when we trim these off, we'll just, and the reason I like to wipe them clean, all right, is because we'll use those in a future shaker door.
Well, there you go.
Just like that. All right, so we'll take that, we'll tap it in all the way.
We're environmentally conscious here at the SedgeTool.
We are.
Recycle, reduce, reuse, baby. Captain Planet, let's go. All right, so what are we doing, Sedge?
Okay, so I took the guide rail And I put it right on the line here of the door, okay, just like this, and we're gonna trim these off, but also we're gonna clean up the door.
Okay. Sounds
Okay,
good.
and we'll see our finished joint. Okay, so you see where we got that cleaned up. I'll take it out so we can get a better view of it, and I'll have you do the next door, but you can see how that creates a really cool infill, just like that.
Like butter.
Okay, so what we want to do is we want to do our cup hinges. Reach in there and grab a hinge. Yep, that piece right there. Nope, that's good enough. We already know the shelf.
Oh, that's right.
The shelf hinge plates. So we need to put these cup hinges in. We need to bore for this 35 millimeters. That's the dimension here.
Okay.
Okay, so what we were doing a couple minutes ago is I had you hold these up like this, right?
Yep.
Because you don't know, you guys don't know this, but this is the front. Remember our faces?
Yep.
Okay, this is, how do you say, taking a couple of extra minutes. So when we go into punching these, we don't have to scratch our head. Which way do these go?
Right.
Okay, so we're looking at the cabinet now. This is our face. So what I like to do, and I've always done this, is I want to put these hinges where?
Here.
Here, here, here. So just do this really quick, just to keep it easy. Draw a couple of circles. That's where we want to place our hinges. The measurements will fall in real easy.
Okay.
So now we know where our hinges are going to go. So when we put our 32 millimeter rail on here and punch it with our LR32 system, because right here I've already chucked up the 35 millimeter cup hinge.
It's a big beast.
Bit, okay, and that's designed. That's not a Forstner bit or anything. It's a flat bottom boring router bit.
That's
Okay, but we're not gonna spin it at 20,000 RPM. On the speed range, we're gonna turn the speed down to about 4.
Okay.
Because the larger the diameter, you'll get a lot of burning on the outside of that.
Okay.
So we'll set that up for success.
slow and low, baby.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk about boring this hole, but first on how to align the rail this way and parallel to this front edge,
Okay.
or back edge of the door. Okay, so follow me on this one. When we did our hinge plate holes, right, we know it's 37 millimeters in, okay, to the first, to the center of the hole from the front edge and from the back. But remember where we started that first hole? Remember what it was from the top of the cabinet to there?
80 millimeter.
80 millimeter, and then the following hole is 32 millimeters apart. So that's for the hinge plate, right? We already bored that, but look where the hinge goes. It goes and clips right on like this in between that 32 millimeter.
Okay.
Okay, those holes. So what we need to do is we need to judge on here. So if you remember correctly, we had 16 up and out on here, right?
Right.
Because 16 plus 32 is
64.
80.
80. So close.
All right, we're almost there.
Almost there.
Okay, so we had 16 up and out.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and flip it over. And remember when I told you when we were building the door, by the way, this video lives on our channel. You put 32 up and out. And you see here, see where it's in the center of the hole?
Yep.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna count, like we did for here, 3 full holes. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. And that will put us, and I'm gonna show you right in the center.
Oh, cool.
Right here. So it's 32 up and out for the door side. Okay. Now, there's another thing, and you just stay right there because I'm going to grab a piece. So I got it right here that I always have. Now, remember when we were building the door and we were measuring for the door? Do you remember the reveal size? This right here.
2 millimeter.
Okay. So remember when we cut the cabinet side, it was 768. It was, so these stops, if I put the other one over here, locked in, right?
Right.
But this door is 4 millimeters shorter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a piece of 2 millimeter edge banding and we'll put it right in there, and that will place us 3 full holes here. 1, 2, 3, that'll put us right in.
Plus.
And then when I come over here with this stop and I put it on, I'll count 3 full holes and we'll be good to go.
All right.
Okay, so that's really good. So what we want to do is we want to align the rail. We know that 32 up and out on both our stops with the 2 millimeter. When we count, look, 3 full holes, 1, 2, 3. Look, there's my other mark.
Yep.
Those are where we're going to do that. The end stops are set with your 2 millimeter edge banding. Hopefully we're following this.
Yep, we got
Now,
that written down.
with every hinge, could you grab me another one of those? With every single hinge, you get a schematic. And the one thing you have to incorporate is what is known as the tab. And that's the distance from the side of the door to the beginning of the cup hinge. Okay, just about every piece of, or every hinge I've used, it's usually 5 millimeter. The tab, that's something you have to calculate. So we need to bore into the center here. So what's half of 35?
35, that's 17 and a half.
Pretty good, and I'm not coaching them on that math. You're good at metric. What's 17 and a half plus 5?
22 and a half.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, this is how you set the parallel stops, because you have play in the hinge. We can go over that later. I need you to set that 0 mark at 23. Okay, and that is how, and that's the alignment for your parallel edge stops. And set it at 23. So there you go.
Ta-da.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these on here like this. Gonna lock it in. Once you set this up, now you can do every door. Get it on there, pull it back. We're gonna bring it over here, just like this. That'll put us parallel to plunge. We're gonna put this in here like this, and that's your setup. Now we're just gonna clamp it. Making sure as we clamp it, you're clamping it on, you gotta be careful, you gotta clamp it on that 50 millimeter piece, not on the, okay?
So on the style, not on the...
On the rail, not the
rail.
style.
Rail style, okay.
Okay, and the thing I always do is I double check to see if my stops are there, and we're good to go.
All right. All right, so what are we missing, Sedge?
How about depth? Okay, so the depth is 13 millimeters.
Okay.
But once again, let's step through depth setting.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do?
Drop this down.
Drop the router down to 0.
Zero it out.
Okay, we call it zeroing out the router. Okay, now we're gonna loosen that. So now your depth stop drops down. I'm gonna zero out the scale in case we use a scale, but you know we don't use scales. I made this quick gauge block. That's an 8 and a 5 millimeter domino, and that equals
13.
So we're just gonna take it and put it in between there.
Boom.
Just like that, and take it out, and we're ready to rock and roll. Now, another tip I want to give you is we got to hook up dust extraction, and we got to put it on here like this, right? But there's a situation. This window that closes, all right, is what? In the way.
Yeah.
But if we take it, and I'm just going to take it like this, it slides off, just like that. Now we can go, and you'll see where that 35 will go right in there.
Oh, wow, okay.
So what I do is I just take it like this, I aim it into 2 mortises like this, and I lock it in, so that'll plunge right in.
Get all that chip.
Okay, and there's only one more tip I'm gonna show you. So here's the tip. Magic blue tape, huh? Woo! The magic of editing. Now that I've taken out the window, that dust wants to escape this way. So what I always like to do, it takes 2 seconds to get that blue tape in there. I cap it off just like this, and it makes it really easy, and it blocks that remaining dust as we do it.
Nice.
Just something, it's a quick hack, but it actually works. I learned that from somebody at a trade show once.
Well, there you go.
So we got our speed set, we got our depth set, we got our parallel guides here, so we're gonna create that 5 millimeter tab, and we got our end stops.
Let's go.
So let's do it. I'll do a couple, you do a couple.
Sounds good.
Okay, so just a quick overview of what I'm gonna do. I don't have to look because I have the rail marked. I look right through here in the cursor. That's my 3rd hole in, right?
Right.
Okay. I have my dust extraction, my plug it cord on. So when I'm ready to turn on and lock on, my hand never ever leaves that.
Okay.
Okay? And you'll see. I don't plunge from here, I plunge from the top. Okay? And then I come right over here, knock down my other one. And my hand never leaves that knob on that plate until I know that bit is completely off.
Awesome.
Okay, it's just being really safe. There's just a little bit of dust, and there's your 5mm tab.
That's awesome.
Okay. Go ahead and do the next one. Good job. And that's about the nicest hole I've ever seen. Okay, let's see how we did. I used these inserta hinges from Bloom. You'll see when I close this piece right here, it opens up. So I'm just going to take those. Go ahead and take yours, Big D. Put it right in there like that. Just make sure it's at a 90 and clock it in.
Clock it in, baby.
And we'll see how it works. Good. We'll take it like this. We got those hinge plates. Let's take that one off. Just like this, watch. You take it just like this. Good. I'm just gonna move it out like this.
Okay.
And let's see how we did today. That should clip right on. Just like that, and that should center right in there like that.
Oh, wow.
And there's our first door. Boom! And let's get the next one.
That'll do.
Now I tell everybody, don't freak out on alignment right away, because remember we were talking about posi drive screws? Okay, there's all kinds of ways to align these doors. Like I'm looking right here, this reveal, we'll tweak it up a little that way and that way so we have a perfect reveal all the way across.
Awesome.
So let's get that in there like this and lock it in.
Boom.
So let's get the other door on there. Oh, look how that lines up perfect. I thought you were gonna hold this.
You're too strong.
Oh, look at that.
Boom,
That,
baby.
boom.
Wow.
And now we can adjust them, but there's your shaker flat panel doors.
That's awesome.
Okay, there you go, Big D. We covered everything. There's the shaker flat panel doors. Woo! We got the perfect 4mm here. We bang another cabinet because we get 2 and 2 here. We get that 4 overall reveal. We have that consistency. Like I said, the hinges got all the adjustability. So this is the beginning of our cabinet series, really. We did the box, what, about a month ago?
Yep.
And we did the doors. Yes, we'll talk hardware eventually for something like this. We'll talk about base cabinets and drawer banks and corners, blind and reveals and stuff like that. So as we always say,
Be positive
and stay sharp.